Hello everyone and welcome to this brand new weekly series. I said I'd do more for the community and this is one of the first things that I decided to do quite a while ago actually, and that is to give you a bit of a summary of what the weekly races are and what to look out for in those weekly races so that you can try and get the best performance you can in those races and potentially increase your DR and, you know, go up a level, B to A to A+. This is what they're here for. So, first of all, let's jump straight into race A, which is at Tsukuba. Now, Tsukuba is a 12-car grid, so a small grid, and we have a grid start. Not one with a penalty, so do not worry about using the brake or handbrake. Literally just plant your foot and accelerate off the line. This race is 5 laps in length, so, you know, a short race like race A usually is. And this is in N100 cars. Now, these cars are provided for you, so you don't need to go and buy these cars, and there are 2 available for you. They are the Toyota Corolla Levin 1600 GT Apex, and that currently has the top times, but I don't think there's a great deal of difference between these 2 cars because the second is also a Toyota. It's the Toyota Sprinter Trueno 1600 GT Apex. This has pop-up headlights, which to me means it wins personally, but they're the 2 cars available for selection. Now, we are racing on sports hard tyres, and we are going to be using no fuel and no tyre, so literally a 5-lap sprint race at Tsukuba. Let's jump now to 1 race lap, and I'll point out some quick little tips. So here we go, we're at the start of a race here. We're just going to accelerate, as I said earlier. Literally plant your foot and off you go. You can see everyone just gets a normal start there, like the old classic Gran Turismos. Now, this first corner, you're not going to see many very dive bombs here because everyone gets a pretty even start here. So it's not too risky to go on the outside here. Potentially, if you further up the grid, you might be a bit more scared of it. But this is where it gets a bit more scary, to be honest with you. You can see 4 wide in front of me. You know it's going to end up of like carnage. But irrespective, I advise you to stay on the left here and stay really on the inside. Because as you see there, the Portuguese driver gets it all wrong. And we just stay clean there. So if you can get on the inside there, on the left, do it as fast as you can and make sure you stay there. Now, I've jumped a lap ahead because I want to show you an overtaking place here, or what a possible overtaking place might be, or where you might see a lot of dives here. So if you can see the Spaniard in front of me here, as we come into this corner, it's going to go for a move here, which isn't really on. It's going to hit somebody into somebody else. That causes a big issue and a mistake. So just be a little bit wary of that. Have your radar on in case somebody does absolutely launch it down the inside like that. So there are a couple of tips there for you. So after turn 1, make sure you stay on the left-hand side and just be careful of dives into that hairpin there at the bottom. For this corner, it's all about maintaining speed there. So you can see I'm just balancing the throttle as I go through that corner. No real braking needed there. Drop to 3rd gear, maintain that speed. And that is Tsukuba. So that is race A all done and dusted. I hope that helps you if you plan to do race A. We're now going to turn our attention to race B. Now, race B is at Maggiore GP, a big circuit, a fast circuit, and we have a 16-car grid here, so 4 extra cars than race A, and this is going to be a rolling start this time, so obviously AI controlled, 3, 2, 1, and off you go. 4 laps in this race, and we are racing in Group 3, my favourite category, and you have to own these cars to race them. The game will not provide them for you. Now, for this circuit, you're looking for cars with good overall speed, good acceleration at the corners, but also cars that have good handling in mid-speed corners. So there's a lot of fast left, right-hand corners in that middle sector, and that is where cars are really going to gain the most time in this circuit. Currently at the top of the leaderboard is a Toyota Supra Group 3 car, so that is one to potentially use if you want to use that car. But there are alternatives available, such as the Nissan GTR. We all know that is an absolute rocket. If you're more suited towards the MR cars, then the Lamborghini Huracan Group 3 car is probably where you want to go. But if you want to go a bit more futuristic or a bit old school, and go to the very first Toyota Group 3 car, which was the FT1. That is very good at this circuit as well and has been proven multiple times. Once again, not once again, but we are racing on racing card tyres, but once again, we are not using fuel or tyre wear, so once again, a good sprint race. So just get out there and fly. Now let's jump to a racing lap, and I'll tell you some of the little tips, tricks, and some of the stuff you need to look out for at Maggiore GP. So here we go, we've just started the rolling start here. I'm starting at the back of the pack just to show you what might happen during the race. So as you can see, standard start. So if you're new to the game, don't worry about this. The game will give you a countdown and you can accelerate away. This rolling start, absolutely no problem for anyone in terms of grid position. As you head towards this first corner, just be aware of people diving up the inside. Now, instantly you'll notice this isn't too bad. There's a couple of moves here, but always make sure you just back out a little bit there. Just let them fight. And everyone is always going to run wide here to try and get tight. As you can see here, I gain a lot of positions. I was always going to do that. Just allows you to gain positions. Now, in terms of that first corner, if you want a brake marker, a really spot-on brake marker is a blue van on the left-hand side. Keep an eye out for it. That is perfect brake mark. As you can see, I'm fighting with another driver here. There's another Spaniard here, actually, as we head down here. Now, you're going to see a lot of dives down here. Just be careful of them. I was expecting a dive here. I get a tap up the rear, and that forces me out there. Just be very wary of that. You might want to brake a tiny bit earlier there just to avoid it. And that way, you're not going to run off into Narnia there, and you just run a little bit wide if you do get tapped. Here, it's all about just trying to stay safe. You can cut the curb on the right a little bit more there. I tend not to in these. And you can see the driver there just runs wide because he was pushing too hard. Make sure you just balance the throttle all the way through there. Otherwise, if you try and put your foot down, you're going to run wide. Now, I'm advancing a lap later here because you're going to see some moves up ahead. Obviously, this is a big overtaking spot. Lots of slipstream. Big braking zone. You can see up ahead cars 2x2 here, so just be careful of that. I normally brake around the 100 or 50 meter board. I can't remember what it is, basically the end of the green fence, and then we accelerate up the hill here. So this is flat out. Just be careful on this right hander. Normally I lift a little bit occasionally. I don't lift here. As you can see, the driver in front should have lifted there, ran wide, gonna have dirt on his tires here, so the other driver goes for the move. The other driver sees that, so well played by the person on my left. Unfortunately, they don't see I'm still on the right. So a little bit of contact there. So just be wary of that. That drivers will turn in on you on those corners because essentially it's like a double apex. And, you know, they're not that wary potentially. Through the last corner, just be careful of running too wide here. If you end up over on the right side, you're going to have dirt on your tyres, end up in the barrier. And that is a quick tip, lap guide of Lego Maggiore. Now we get to race C, the critical one, the one that is the most popular, of course, because the race is a little bit longer than the others, and we are racing at Laguna Seca. This is a 20-car grid, so a full racing lobby here with 20 cars, and it is a rolling start. Now, you are going to have to be careful of that rolling start. If you're starting P11, P12 down, you're starting on the sharp left-hander, the last corner, or the straight even before that, so do be careful of that. Now, we are using the Super Formula Honda car, which is a little bit different to normal. And this means that we also have an overtake button. So make sure you do map that. Mine's mapped to triangle, for example. So when you're on that straight, smash the overtake button. You get a few more horsepowers just for you. Now, in terms of the actual race, fuel is on ×5, while tyres are on ×10. So the fuel is a little bit borderline. You can make it without fuel saving. The best suggestion I can give you is when you get to the end of that rev bar, just change gear rather than revving into that limiter and seeing it flash. That way you should have enough fuel. Tyres is ×10, but we've also got a choice of tyres. You've got the racing mediums and the racing hards available. Now, I must stress that the racing hards have to be used according to the requirements. So if you don't use the racing hards and you just use racing mediums throughout the race, that is a plus 20-second penalty. Now, personally, in terms of strategies, just using racing hards throughout the race could be the best bet here, just to have a nice easy race, get through the race, no pit stops, and you can manage your race. You stay on the same set of tyres. Yes, you're going to get overtaken by medium runners, but then they're going to have to go in the pits. It's up to you what you decide to do. If you're going to race on mediums, pitting lap 8, 9 or 10 is probably the best bet there. Jumping on the hards, getting some fresh boots on your car, and off you go. And another additional little tip for you, make sure your brake balance is towards the rear. It'll help you save those front tyres out a little bit more because they do wear more than the rear. Right, let's stop me talking about the actual combo and let's jump to a racing lap just to give you a few more hints and tips about what to do in race C. So here we are again with the rolling start. Now this rolling start you have to be very cautious of. As you can see, I'm starting well before the last corner. Some people will start in that last corner, and just be careful of people trying to make moves on this corner. As you see in front of me here, the Russian there just completely outbrakes himself and went off the circuit. So I get in two positions there, but you can see the mistakes that can already creep in, and now we start the race. We've only just started the race, well behind the leader here, so getting a good qualifying here can be critical. You can see I outbrake quite a lot of people here. Be careful of going on the outside like I have done here. You can see I'm already being knocked there a little bit. If I carried on, I'd have been run out wide. It's better to stay on the inside on that first corner on the first lap here. As we continue through now, you can see lots of people making little mistakes here. This is a slight lift. Later on in this video, just a tiny bit later on, I will show you an actual clean lap just so you get a good idea here. Now coming into here, it's all fine. Just be careful of dirty air and just understeering like I did there. Now coming to this corner on the left, be careful of the sausage curb. Avoid sausage curb, otherwise that's what happens to you. You can see the German there go off. Be very careful of any sausage curb on this track. It will chuck you to Narnia. You see, people are going to outbrake themselves all the time at this corkscrew. You can see lots of mistakes again. Just try and keep it calm, keep it steady. Let people make mistakes and just drive through slowly. See again, somebody else hit the curb. There you go off. So the curb is critical here because, sorry, the sausage curb, if you hit it, it's game over. And again, last corner, you're going to see lots of people outbrake themselves completely, especially when the brake marker disappears. Do not use the brake markers on that last corner because they will disappear in a race. What we're going to do now is we're just going to look at a pit stop. So I'm around 21 seconds ahead of the Spaniard behind, but I'm going to fire in here and we're just going to select tyres and such. Now I came at around 58 and I sort of measure this based on the white line at the exit of the pit lane. So not initial white line, but just after that. But there's two things you've got to take into consideration here. I don't have to do the last corner. I fire in at like 100 and whatever miles an hour. And obviously I use the white line coming up here just to get a good reference, because that's the braking zone. So there we have, it's about 23 seconds there, but you've got to knock off 5-6 seconds for that last corner. So we're talking between 15 and 18 seconds of pit loss time there, just to give you some information. Right, I'm going to do a fast lap now. I'm on the racing cards here. So you're going to brake around where that white line is on the right side. It's around the 3 board. And I use second gear here for the first corner, and then I accelerate through there. Left hand side, just where the gravel changes there, I brake, third gear, turn in. Try and balance the throttle a little bit here. Coming up to this next part, the end of the curb is where you want to turn in, and I just balance the throttle as best as I can there, and I accelerate. You can see I'm using the overtake button here to make sure you assign it. Number 2 board there, I brake, drop down to third gear, and accelerate through that corner. You can still see the car is understeering a little bit there. So we accelerate up here. Again, this number 2 board, but I want to delay my turning. I want to avoid that sausage curb at all costs. It's better to go a little bit slower and avoid it than potentially hit it. Up to the corkscrew. Going to brake just before the crest of the hill. Brake to second gear. Change to third quite quickly. It balances the car. You do not want to be in second when you hit the throttle there. You will spin. Again, avoid the sausage on the left-hand side. And then we're going to just chuck it into the right. Again, avoid sausage. Avoid all sausages. That's your main goal here. And then we're just going to brake around this marker. Try not to use those brake markers. Try and pick something as a reference there. And that's going to be my lap of Laguna Seca. I hope this weekly series has been good for you in terms of learning about the daily races that are going to happen this week. Lots more updates to come to this feature. As I say, this is brand new. If you do have any constructive criticism, please leave it below. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Oh, and track guides will start appearing at the end of these as well, so do keep an eye out for those. But yeah, as I say, thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.